supporting from afar. And you know, my daughter Riley is going to be on a new show coming to Bravo, Next Gen. They just announced it last week. Yeah, so I hope you guys support my daughter Riley Burruss. Y'all seen her grow up on the Real Housewives, and now she's going to be on a new show. It's coming June 3rd, so check her out.
What tips did you give her about entering? I mean, obviously she's a part of reality television in the past, but to a different level.
Yeah, it's a different level, and so I told her, when you're filming, stand on everything you say. Don't ever go back and try to act like you didn't say something so they can rewind the tape on you.
Roll the tape.
You have to own it, stand on it. And if you need to apologize, but don't lie about saying stuff. Because we be having a lot of liars on those shows, you know. We don't want to be, no.
It was supposed to be just another fun evening, a casual night out filled with music, laughter, and a few drinks. No one expected it to become a national headline or a social media storm. But what unfolded that night would leave a deep mark on a famous family and spark countless debates online about money, parenting, and growing up in the spotlight. On July 1st, Riley Burruss, daughter of Grammy-winning singer and TV personality Kandi Burruss, went from having a good time to becoming the focus of a major public controversy. Riley, who had recently graduated from New York University and was only 22 years old, never imagined that one night out would turn into something the entire internet would be talking about. But it did, and it all began with one bill, a single receipt that totaled $14,000. A night that went from celebration to confrontation in the blink of an eye.
And if you don't know, my mom was originally on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, so I've been featured on Bravo a few times, but this is my first time being the main character.
Riley, who had grown up on TV thanks to her mother's appearances on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, was no stranger to the camera. In fact, cameras had always been part of her world. From red carpet events to reality shows, her life was often recorded and shared. But this time, the camera didn't protect her. It exposed everything. The scene was a fancy nightclub in New York City, VIP section, velvet ropes, bottle service with expensive drinks like Don Julio 1942. Riley wasn't just out partying. She looked like she was trying to prove something, that she had made it, that she was grown and independent now. But then she said something on camera that changed everything. "I paid for half the bill," she claimed proudly. That meant $7,000 came out of her own pocket, or so she thought.
It's been about a year since you announced you were leaving Housewives. Did you have any FOMO or regret knowing cameras were backed up, or is it all that chapter is closed and you've moved on?
Actually, I feel like it's closed for me and I moved on. I thought to myself when I was first making the decision, I was kind of like, ugh, is this smart? Like, am I doing the right thing? And anytime you've done something for 14 years straight, it's kind of like hard to walk away from it.
Her friend and castmate Amamira, who was also at the club that night, paid the other half. But soon it became clear that Riley might not have fully understood what had happened. The money had been taken from her credit card, one that may not have even been fully under her control. And that's when the internet exploded. Within minutes, videos and clips of Riley's statement were all over Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. People had strong opinions, very strong ones. Some people were angry at how much she had spent. Others mocked her, saying she was out of touch with reality. Many called her spoiled and said she didn't understand what it meant to earn money. It wasn't just about the price tag anymore. It was about what the bill represented. And caught in the middle of it all was Kandi, her mother. Kandi Burruss had spent her entire life working hard. From music success to building her own businesses and managing her brand, she had done it all through effort and persistence. So when she saw what her daughter had done, she didn't just feel disappointment, she felt fear. Fear that her daughter didn't understand how the real world worked. Fear that Riley was throwing away the chances she had been given. On camera, Kandi didn't try to hide her emotions. She was furious. Her hands were shaking. Her voice broke as she tried to speak. "You spent $14,000 on bottles?" she shouted. "You have way too much money to waste." This wasn't just anger. This was a mother losing her grip on the daughter she had tried so hard to raise right. Then, in a moment that made headlines, Kandi threw a napkin in Riley's face. It wasn't violent, it was emotional. It wasn't about hate, it was about heartbreak. It was like she was trying to shake Riley awake. This argument didn't come out of nowhere. Kandi had warned Riley months earlier during an episode of the show that was filmed in Brooklyn. She told her clearly, "Get your degree and then you have 6 months. After that, you need to either get a real job or go to law school. Otherwise, the financial support stops." There was no misunderstanding. Riley knew the deal. But this $14,000 night seemed to show that she either forgot or simply didn't care. That's what hurt the most. But Riley didn't back down. She stayed calm, arms crossed, even smiling a little. She told her mom she was managing things just fine. She said she had paid for her share. She acted like everything was under control. But Kandi didn't buy it. "What job are you working?" Kandi asked. "Whose credit card was that?" The words were sharp and painful. To Kandi, Riley looked like a child pretending to be an adult, someone playing a role, but not really understanding what it meant. And that's what made this whole situation different from other celebrity dramas. Riley wasn't just a spoiled influencer spending too much. She actually had real contracts and partnerships with major companies like Dark and Lovely, Makeup Forever, and more. In today's world of social media, Riley looked like a rising star. Her follower count was impressive. Her posts got attention. She had real influence. But to Kandi, that didn't mean much. She saw a warning sign. Her daughter wasn't ready. Not for the real world, not yet. Riley grew up in a home where money was earned, not handed out. Kandi came from struggle. She believed in saving, budgeting, and making smart decisions. But now, Riley was living in New York City, where none of that seemed to matter, where one night out could destroy everything. And that's what this fight was really about. Not alcohol, not money, but the growing distance between two people who saw the world very differently. A daughter chasing independence. A mother afraid of what that freedom might cost. After the episode aired, social media became a war zone. Some people praised Kandi for being a tough parent. They said she was right to be strict and that Riley needed to learn responsibility. Others accused Kandi of being too harsh. They said she humiliated her daughter in public just for the cameras. Reddit threads called Riley another Nepo baby, someone who lived off her family's fame and money. The comments were brutal. People didn't just criticize her spending, they criticized everything about her. Her clothes, her tone, her attitude. But then Riley said something that silenced everyone. Her voice was soft, almost trembling, but her words were powerful. "No matter what I do, it's never enough," she said. "I'm not trying to be you. I'm trying to build my own life." Suddenly, the entire mood changed. Kandi, who had been yelling and pacing, froze. Her eyes closed. The anger faded, and something deeper came forward: recognition. She understood that pain, that feeling of never being enough, of trying so hard and still being misunderstood. This wasn't just a spoiled girl wasting money. This was a young woman trying to find herself in a world that had already decided who she should be. Riley wasn't crying for attention. She wasn't trying to get away with bad behavior. She was trying to breathe, to make space for her own life in the shadow of her mother's fame. "I'm not just your daughter," she added. "In 2025, I'm a Black woman in New York with a famous last name. People judge me before I even speak." That's when everything clicked for the viewers. The story wasn't about $14,000 anymore. It was about identity, about pressure, about expectations. Riley wasn't asking to be spoiled. She was asking to be seen. The moment ended not with more yelling, but with silence. Real silence. The kind that says everything has changed. Kandi finally saw the weight Riley had been carrying. all those years of cameras, comparisons, expectations, and pressure to be perfect just because of who her mother was. Maybe Kandi thought she was teaching strength, but Riley had been searching for understanding. The most heartbreaking part? They were both right and both wrong. Kandi was protecting her daughter the only way she knew how. Riley was fighting to stand on her own, even if her choices were messy. That's what made this story hit home for so many people. By the next morning, #Riley Burruss was trending. News outlets covered the story. Podcasts discussed parenting in the age of fame. TikTok creators acted out the napkin scene. People online debated who was right and who was wrong. But the real answer wasn't that simple. It wasn't about being right. It was about listening, about understanding that even young adults with money and fame struggle, that even strong mothers can feel scared and helpless, that love sometimes looks like anger when it's mixed with fear. This whole situation, the bill, the fight, the emotions, was never really about money. It was about the space between a mother and her daughter. A daughter who wanted to prove she could make it on her own, and a mother who just wanted to make sure she didn't fall too hard trying. Maybe the world will keep debating, maybe people will keep judging, but deep down, what everyone saw that night was something deeply human, a young woman trying to grow up and a mother trying to let go. Riley once shared something so raw, it changed how people saw her completely. She said, "Sometimes I spend money just to feel like I matter." In this city, if you don't look like you're rich, it's like you don't even exist. That one sentence explained everything. She wasn't trying to act flashy or impress anyone. What she was really doing was trying to hold on to a sense of self in a world that kept trying to define her for her. Her words hit like a gut punch. Kandi, her mom, just sat there quietly. She wasn't angry or annoyed, she was stunned, because she realized this wasn't just some outburst or dramatic moment. This was her daughter's truth, a quiet cry for help disguised under expensive clothes, champagne toasts, and beauty campaigns. But the worst part? The world didn't take it seriously. No one saw the pain behind Riley's words. They just called it drama, chaos, or entertainment. Online, people laughed. On TikTok, they called her crazy. On Twitter, they mocked her. But no one stopped to ask why she felt this way in the first place. And just when everyone thought the drama had reached its peak, another layer unfolded. A private voice note got leaked. It wasn't meant to be heard by the public. It came from Ariana, Riley's friend and fellow cast member. And yes, she's the daughter of Kim Olshak, which made the leak even more shocking. In the message, Ariana's voice trembled as she said, "Riley's been holding it together better than most of us." This message came from a group chat just hours after the latest episode aired. You guys don't even know what she's going through. That one sentence changed everything. Suddenly, people stopped making fun of her spending habits. The focus shifted. It wasn't about parties or fancy drinks anymore. It wasn't about the influencer life or expensive shoes. It was about something deeper. What was happening in Riley's real life, far away from cameras and scripts? People who worked behind the scenes started sharing the parts of the story that were edited out of the show. That's when it came out. Riley had recently reconnected with her biological father. A man who had been gone from most of her life was suddenly back, saying sorry and making promises. Promises that he should have made years ago, when she was growing up and needed him the most. This reunion wasn't heartwarming. It wasn't like the ones you see in movies. It was messy. It brought up old pain that had never really healed. Every time Riley tried to talk to her mom about it, things ended in an argument. You see, Kandi wasn't just Riley's mom. She had been everything to her. The provider, the protector, the one who kept everything together. She had raised Riley on her own. So when Riley brought up her father, the man who had left them, Kandi's whole mood shifted. It hit a nerve, a wound that never quite closed. Whether Riley meant to or not, she had opened it again. And that was where the real tension lived. Not on the reality show, not in the gossip blogs, but deep under the surface, between a mother and a daughter struggling to understand each other. While the internet made jokes about how much Riley spent, no one saw the emotional weight she was carrying. She wasn't lashing out to get attention. She was doing what many people do when they feel lost, trying to control something, anything. In her case, that meant dressing like she had it all together, spending money to feel in control, and staying quiet about the deeper pain. This wasn't about bad decisions. This was about a young woman caught between two sides of herself. One connected to the strong mother who raised her, the other tied to a father who came back too late. Most people online couldn't see that. They just saw the headlines. The luxury, the parties, the shopping. They didn't see the girl trying to understand who she was without her mom always steering the way. But then, Riley did something bold. She didn't hide. She didn't make a public apology or disappear from social media. Instead, she posted a photo on Instagram. No filter, no makeup, just her. And the caption? Everyone sees the spending, but no one asks about the pressure behind it. That post changed everything. Suddenly, the same people who had laughed at her started listening. Influencers and celebrities shared the post. Former reality stars spoke up about how real the pressure is when you grow up under the spotlight. Even people who had never liked Kandi started seeing things differently. But the biggest shift didn't happen on TV or on social media. It happened in a quiet moment with no cameras around. Kandi called Riley, not to yell, not to correct her, but to listen. For the first time in a long while, they sat on the phone in silence. Neither knew what to say at first. But slowly, the wall between them started to break down. They talked for hours. No yelling, no blaming, just two people finally hearing each other. That conversation didn't fix everything, but it was a beginning, a step toward healing, not just as mother and daughter, but as two women navigating a complicated world together. A few days later, Kandi gave a quiet interview. What she said surprised people. She might act wild sometimes, but Riley is one of the smartest people I know. It takes a lot of strength to grow up in a world that's 10 times louder than the one I came from. That wasn't just a proud mom talking. That was a woman finally seeing her daughter as more than a problem to fix. She was starting to see her as a person trying to figure things out, like anyone else. But just when it seemed like things were calming down, Riley made another surprising move. She announced she was starting a blog, not about fashion or trends, but about her real life, what she was dealing with, how she was healing, and what she wanted to share beyond the screen. She also revealed she'd be hosting small, private DJ events around New York, not for attention, not for sponsorships, but because she loved music and wanted to create something that felt authentic. Once again, the internet reacted. Some loved it, some rolled their eyes. On Instagram, people praised her for turning her struggles into something meaningful. On Twitter, the cynics called it just another PR stunt. This is just tequila part 2, they wrote, referencing one of her past parties that had gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But Riley didn't back down. She posted another message, short and powerful. I'm still figuring things out, but I'm not going anywhere. She wasn't begging for approval. She wasn't trying to be liked. She was standing up for herself, maybe for the first time. And Kandi saw it all. The blogs, the backlash, the headlines. But instead of stepping in like she always had, Kandi did something different. She let go. During a post-show Q&A, someone asked her how she was handling everything. Off camera, she said something simple but powerful. I've just got to let her make some mistakes to figure it out. That line hurt, but not in a bad way. It wasn't about giving up. It was about trust. For so long, Kandi had tried to protect Riley from every possible hurt. She'd wanted to keep her safe from the same pain she'd gone through: poverty, heartbreak, rejection. But in trying to shield her, she'd also held her back from learning important lessons. It was no longer about control. It was about believing that Riley could handle her own journey, and Riley didn't roll her eyes like she used to. She didn't brush it off. She just nodded and said, "I will." There was no dramatic hug, no emotional music swelling in the background, just quiet respect, real growth. For the first time, there was mutual understanding, not perfection, but progress. So what was this story really about? It wasn't about a girl who spent too much money. It wasn't about a mom who couldn't keep her daughter in check. It was about a young woman trying to feel seen in a world that decided who she should be before she ever had the chance to decide for herself. It was about a mother learning that the best way to protect her daughter might be to stop controlling her and start having faith in her. Riley Burruss is no longer just Kandi's daughter. She's a woman building her own identity. Not perfect, not polished, but honest. She took her biggest public failure, a $14,000 mistake, and turned it into something more. A story that holds up a mirror to everyone else. A reminder that behind the glamour, the money, and the social media posts, real people are just trying to survive, trying to heal. Her story isn't over. She doesn't have it all figured out, but she's showing us something powerful, that it's okay not to, and that maybe the most important thing we can do for each other is to stop judging and start listening.